Hey everybody, it's Tina and I'm back like I said I would be with a new video. And this one is very meaningful to me in a lot of ways. It was inspired by a very dear friend of mine, a sister who I grew up with and who's still in my life to this day. And we were talking late recently and she brought up some stuff she had gone through and it affected me so bad. I told her that's going to be the subject of my next video. And I am going to not divulge who she is because she knows who she is. But I'm also going to say that I added some additional information and research that stem off of the conversation that her and I had together about this. Okay, so basically this video has to do with body shaming. Or shaming of any kind. And so I included that shaming to also be within the LGBTQIA plus society or community. I would say society. And just women, men in general, because men get left out of the loop a lot. And just things like that, okay? So we're going to get started because I don't want to keep this longer than I did last time. So what is body shaming? Now, you can look up the formal definition, but basically, body shaming is just shaming someone or judging someone or being condescending someone based on their body, whether they're too skinny, they're too fat, by the way they dress, by the way they look, by how they act, their behavior, if they're too feminine, if they're whatever. You know, you're judging them in a negative and condescending way, and they know this. So bottom line is you're judging someone based on their body and on their looks and all of that. Okay. So sorry, I keep moving around. I got a really bad headache. So anyway, that's the definition. Okay. So other types of shaming, we talked about the fat shaming, but there's also skinny shaming. And mostly that affects guys, but it does affect some girls too, you know, where they're too skinny and no matter what they do, they cannot put weight on them, on themselves, you know, and that's not their fault. You know, I mean, their genetics, their predisposition, and it could be a thyroid issue. It could be lots of things, you know, but don't judge somebody, you know, hey man, why are you so skinny? Why don't you have muscles on you? Or hey chick, you know, why are you so skinny, man? Put some meat on there. I need some, you know, cushion for the pushing, you know, that kind of bullshit, you know, don't do that, you know. And let me give you an advisor up front. I am not going to always be politically correct because I'm very passionate about these issues. Okay. And I'm not one of those who goes around kissing butt or jumping on a bandwagon or whatever to appease a group of people or a certain population. I'm going to speak what I feel and what I think is right. And from what I've learned and being a 34-year plus seasoned psychological clinician and nurse, and with that background and with my business background, with my law background, I've been to law school. I mean, I have all these credentials, in other words. So I'm not speaking out of my ass, okay? So just advise, and then I might say some cuss words. So advisory there, okay? You got it. Now, other types of shaming is what we talked about, but there's also that athletic body shaming where you're shaming someone for being athletic, or if they're normally athletic and then all of a sudden they're not, and they seem to show this dad bod kind of thing where they're skinny, which is another type of shaming, is the dad bod shaming. But you know, and they have a little gut there, or they have a little beer gut, or just a little gut, period. And you're used to them being all, you know, woohoo, sexy and six pack, and all of a sudden they're not. You start judging them. We're going to get a little bit more into that because I have some specific examples of that I'd like to discuss in a minute. Okay, so why is it so harmful besides the obvious? You're being a bully, for one. Bullies suck. Period. You know, I was bullied as a kid and then I flipped the switch and then I started defending people who were bullied. And a lot of those people happen to be within the LGBTQIA plus community, although back then it was just you were either gay, straight, or cross-dresser. You didn't have quite a name for everything. But bullying, you're being bullied, okay? That's number one. But there are 30 million people that suffer from eating disorders in this country, or will in their lifetime, okay? Either as a child, an adult, or all the way through their life. There's approximately 1,000 women that die each year from these eating disorders because of their desire to be so desirable, and they end up dying from it, because their heart gives out, they're malnourished, and some from suicide. So yeah, we're losing them like that too. 81%, this one gets me. This one totally gets me. 81% of 10-year-olds say that they feel better when they are dieting. Okay? Dieting. Not changing their lifestyle, not exercising, eating healthier, working on healthier habits, but dieting. So even the verbiage has to change so that they can understand that if they want to look or feel a certain way, it's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet, okay? It's always going to be a lifelong struggle if you struggle with your weight. And unfortunately, some people are always going to struggle with their weight. I did, off and on for years. I'm not fat. I'm not skinny. But, I got meat on me, and I'm proud of that. And, you take me as I am, or you watch me walk away with a smile on my face. Hey, you don't want me, someone else will. So there you go. That's the kind of attitude you need to have. And I don't mean be sarcastic and rude and judgmental to other people because they're doing the same to you. Be above that. Just smile at them and just say, okay, well, God obviously has something better in store for me, and obviously it's not them, so gotta move on. That's what I do. And you know what? I'm okay. There ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. So 81% of 10-year-olds, Jesus Christ. 70% of 18 to 30-year-olds don't like their body. Now, we know that. There's a condition called like body dysmorphia or something, where people have a distorted view of their body. Even if they're thin, they still see themselves as fat. Or if they were fat and then they became thin, they still see that fat side of themselves no matter what. So they're constantly, having to deal with that. That's a very serious issue. And there's a lot of clinicians, PhD, medical professionals, whatever, that deal specifically with these kind of issues. So it's serious. So please don't judge people off of that, And, this one's crazy too. 51% of 8 to 10-year-olds say they feel better about themselves when they are dieting. Now, I might have said that already. I think I did. But the point I want to point out with that is they're 8-year-olds, okay? So even before they get to 8 years old, it starts at home, okay? Because if not, they're going to be influenced by the media. They're going to be influenced by what they see on TV, by who they're around in public. They're going to be influenced by schoolmates and all that, So it starts at home by teaching them that, first off, they're fine the way they are, okay? They're great. Honor that, value that, celebrate that. And then teaching them healthy eating habits. They might have a medical predisposition to being overweight or being skinny because of the thyroids or there's a lot of issues that can cause people to be skinny or overweight, but you can encourage that starting at a young age and showing them first that they're okay who they are, no matter what they are, or what they think they are, or what they believe they are. But if you want them to live their lives as an adult, even after you move off from this earth, and to feel good about themselves and to share that with their offspring or whoever they involve in their lives, it starts at home. So start, positively reinforcing when they do something good. Catch them doing things right instead of when they're doing it wrong. Show them good ways, good eating habits, and also model it. Don't be one of those who do as I say, not as I do type people. Practice what you preach, basically. I do. And I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong. And if somebody proves me wrong, I'll be like, oh shit, okay, you proved me wrong. I'm wrong, my bad. I have to do better research next time, or I have to think better before I talk, whatever. You know, and on that note, just a real quick sidebar. I have been accused before of sitting on the fence too much, you know, that I need to take a stand one way or another and stick with it. Hell no, I don't. No, I don't. I can sit on that fence all I want, because you know what sitting on that fence allows me to do? It allows me to see both sides. I can see each side of a situation. I can be objective. I can look and say, yeah, I get your part, and yeah, I get your part. I understand it. Okay, and from an outside perspective, this is how I see it. Now let's work towards a resolution that appeases both parties, you know? So no, I'm not one to jump on a bandwagon. And no, I'm not going to commit to any one group or anything, because everybody, if you're going to talk about diversity and equality and deserving that, then you need to give it too. You know, you need to, it's not something that you necessarily earn. I think that's kind of bull in a way, because people think, oh, in order to get respect, you have to earn respect. No, that's not true. You can give respect because it's in you to be that kind of a person that gives respect, okay? And to give honor and to celebrate difference and diversity instead of condemning and condoning the behavior that condemns it, okay? And moving on. Oh, this one's a good one. People judging people in public places, you know, like the grocery store or the gym. Now, you gym rats out there who you might have been blessed with from birth with a high metabolism and great genes and, you know, look flawless and, you know, have that great body, and you're just there to keep it up or work it out or just to feel better, because it does help you, you know, with your cardiovascular system and all that, you know. So good for you. But do not judge somebody else for being there who's obese, unlike you, or overweight in any way, for what they're wearing, what they're doing, or anything like that, because somebody had to start somewhere. And a lot of you gym rats that are out there, and I'm saying that fondly because my nephew's a gym rat and I'm a gym rat. You know, I love going to the gym. I do it for different reasons, as do most people. Some people like the weights, some like the cardio, some like the water, some like the groups, you know, the group sessions. I personally like the yoga and the weights and the water. So, but, so I'm a gym rat too. So I'm calling you gym rats out of affection. Okay. But a lot of you had to start from somewhere, right? A lot of you were born the way you are, but a lot of you were not. And you did it by working out, eating healthy, making better life choices, things like that. You had the strength to do it. Well, you are not me. I am not you. You are not him. He is not her. Everybody is different. Everybody's ability to respond to situations is different. Everybody's body makeup is different. So you need to realize that, embrace that, and accept the fact that not everybody is you. They may not have the strength that you do, and that it's not a weakness. It's not. You don't know what's going on with that person. So quit trying to act like you do. And instead, encourage them when you see them out there. Hey, good for you. Or, you know what I mean? Don't be condescending. Like, oh, good for you, fat person. You're here trying to not be fat. No, just like, hey, good for you. You know, oh, or hey, I noticed you've been in the gym a lot lately. That's great. You know, you're going to feel so much better, because I know when I first started, it was rough for me. And now I'm like feeling so much better, you know, my blood pressure's gone down, my stress level's gone down, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to say. I know I do that. It's just the same way I go up to our vets when I see one, or our military, I see someone in uniform, or an officer, police officer, or a fireman, or a first responder. I see them in uniform, and or if I know they are, I'll go up to them and thank them just randomly. Thank you. Thank you for what you do, putting your life on the line for me and everybody else. You know, it's that kind of mentality. And when you're in a shopping store and you see somebody that's kind of overweight or obese, and you look at their shopping cart and you see the kind of foods that they're living on, and you judge them according to that, well, shit, no wonder you're so fat. Look at what you're eating. Look what you're buying. Don't judge them, okay? Because maybe they can't afford to buy non-processed foods. or maybe they're on food stamps, or maybe they're a single parent, or maybe they have low income, or, or something like that. And the processed foods are so much cheaper and last longer, but they're less healthy. So sometimes it's a matter of survival. So don't judge somebody based on what they have in their shopping cart, will you? Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, another thing that we need to get away from is defining beauty as a look versus a state of mind, because we all know, anybody with half a brain and some rationale in their system knows that beauty is only skin deep. Yeah, it's a cliche saying, but it's true. We're all going to end up wrinkled. We're all going to end up wanting to stay young, look young, do whatever we can to stay looking young, dye our hair, whatever the case may be. But the truth is, there's going to be some things we can't hide. And some people can afford plastic surgery. Good on you if you can do that. Not everybody can. And sometimes they're a disaster because some people get addicted to it. And then they end up looking like a science experiment gone bad. So, be nice. And besides, your lines, whether they're stretch marks, scars, wrinkles, whatever, are signs that you have lived. You have lived. You have laughed. You have loved. You have cried. You have experienced. You have been exposed. You have, everything. So be proud of it. You've given life, so you got these stretch marks. People think stretch marks are gross. Well, they can look that way, but again, we got to get away from everything is physical and superficial way of being beautiful. Beauty comes in a lot of ways, and you all know just as well as I do that someone who is beautifully looking, flawless skin, beautiful hair, great body to die for, can be the most ugliest, drama-filled person in the world inside. And some guys like them crazy girls, and good on you for that. Go for it. But, don't judge someone based simply on that, because the person that you may not even look at twice usually, or that you get to know who may be just average looking or plain looking, or they don't usually stand out in a crowd, but you get to know them, can be the most beautiful person to you once you get to know them. So it really is subjective in a lot of ways, beauty. So we need to move away from the mindset that beauty is simply physical, and that if you're not skinny and you don't look a certain way, that you're not beautiful, because you are. You're beautiful. And that's why people always said I had a gift, that I could find beauty and value in anyone and anything. And I take great pride in that skill, and I'm going to hold on to that as long as I'm allowed to. So try to do the same, try to do the same. That's all I'm asking. So moving on. Shaming people on their sexuality. Now, I'm not just talking about being homosexual or not or anything like that, but how they display their sexualness, with their clothing or their hair or their makeup or whatever, there's so many different ways that you can be and feel sexy. It does not have to be that you're perfect and skinny to be able to dress and feel sexy. That's a very personal, individual thing. Now, of course, I was, guilty of this in my younger years, but again, 30 years ago, life was different. Where I was raised in California, it was very judgmental. Looks, and I'm talking about my own family. I'm not talking about all Californians, because all Californians are not like that. Trust me. They're very accepting, loving people out there. But there's a bunch of them sprinkled in there that like to give a bad rap to all Californians. And I'm one of those, or I was one of those, but I haven't been for over 30 years. So, my family, a lot of my family that's still out in California, they're still like that. So I dare not say that everybody's like that, because they're not. I know that from personal experience, and I know that just because wisdom has allowed me to know that. So, no, don't ever generalize or stereotype. That's not good. Because even, I'm just saying my personal experience, that's how I was raised. So I was guilty of this before too. But again, that was 30 years ago. So yeah, I've changed a lot since then. But women can feel sexy in different kinds of looks, so let them be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see someone's boobs hanging out either. I don't want to see someone's butt crack showing up, or, seeing some camel toe or something. No, that's not attractive. But if you're in a position, or you're a friend or relative of someone who's doing something like that, they may just not know any better. Nobody's taught them differently. You don't know where they came from or what their mode of thinking is. Help them understand it, but in a loving and caring way, not in a mean, judgmental way. Just, explain to them that, that you're there for them and you're there to support them and all that, and let them feel sexy, but show them how to do it appropriately, because sexy is sexy in all sizes. Trust me. I like people with extra meat on them, but I think there's some very thin people that are attractive too. That's just diversity, celebrate it. Okay, so I want to actually quote a doctor. Her name is Dr. Jennifer Greenberg, and she's a research director at Massachusetts General Hospital. And I don't want to misquote her, so you're going to see me look away from the screen for a minute so that I can give her exact quotation, okay? So she worked with patients who suffer from severe fixations on their appearance, severe fixations. When asked about the constant barrage of the media influence, she had this to say: the more you're exposed to the unrealistic, unattainable ideals, the more you're likely to compare yourself or even others to those ideals, and the worse you tend to feel about yourself. So basically what the doctor is saying is that, you're going to continue to compare yourself. You're going to feel worse because these things that you're trying to obtain are unattainable. And now you're judging others for not meeting those standards too. And that's not cool, So you're projecting is what they call in psychology. It's projecting. So try not to do that, will you? Males, a lot of males get left out of a lot of this kind of stuff, but male body shaming goes on too. We talked a little bit about it with the skinniness and then the weight build, the weight, the guys who body build, those guys. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, male body shaming is actually on the rise, and it also comes with serious and physical, problems and issues. Don't body shame someone or shame some man because he's not skinny enough or buff enough, or or he's too fat, or whatever the case may be. That's just wrong. You're being a bully and you're being a hypocrite, so don't be out there preaching one thing and then, you doing this do as I say, not as I do type of thing. Don't do that. That ain't right. Live by what you preach. And if you're out there preaching for equality, it comes in many forms, not just cultural or sexual or spiritual or religious or anything. It's a lot of things, okay? There's a lot involved in that. So please take that into consideration. And for you gentlemen that are experiencing this kind of shaming and you're working on trying to improve that, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're quite content with how you feel. It's not affecting your health. You're good. The best thing to do is to avoid the people and the situations that are making you feel that way, okay? Avoid them. Avoid places that tend to make you feel bad about yourself. Avoid people that tend to make you feel bad about yourself. And try to find some like-minded, positive mind people, not like-minded, negative people that tend to want to rebel because they're so angry and they don't know how to deal with it. Find those kind of like-minded people, okay? That's the best thing to do. And if you want to work on your body, then start working on your body. If you need professional help, it's there in many forms. So, and just do what you can within your means, financially and otherwise. You might have health issues that might prohibit you from doing certain things. I do. I have a ton of health issues from head to toe. I'm legally disabled. I mean, you probably couldn't tell by looking at me, but I am. I have more wrong with me than probably about 20 people on disability. So just know that it's possible. Don't be a victim. Don't be a survivor. Just live. Just be, don't just exist, live. There's other types of shaming too that go on. And a lot of it, and here's the shaming that's funny. This is the shaming within the LGBTQIA plus community, a community that gets its own judging from others, but they judge themselves too. There is so much judging within the community as well, and it needs to stop. Now, the top 11, I believe it is, 11 is, one is age shaming. You all like to shame men especially. Older gay men are the most prominent in this area because they're being seen as old pervs. They're perverts and whatnot. They're people with needs and wants and desires. They're just trying to have fun just like everybody else, give them a break. Now, if they try to do something against you forcefully or unlawfully against your will, then that's another story. But if they're just trying to hit on you, don't be mean about it. Let them off easy if that's not your type. Everybody has a type, but you don't have to be rude about it or judge them. You're judged enough just for being gay or whatever you are in the community. So don't do it to your own people, as a Hispanic person, although I do also have European blood of Spanish, French, and German, but predominantly almost half Hispanic, I got judged by my own people in California one way because I didn't speak Spanish enough. And then when I did speak Spanish enough, and then I moved to Texas, then now these Texans are judging me because I use the word Mexican, where in California, Mexican and Chicano and all that were totally acceptable and still are. And I know about the whole Latinx, movement and everything. But in Texas, there's still a lot of very old school people here, and they believe Mexican, when you call someone Mexican, that means they were born in Mexico. They refuse to admit that they're Mexican American or they're American of Mexican descent, which I like to say myself. But I mean, that's just me being politically correct. But bottom line is I'm Mexican, my people come from Mexico. A large percentage of my people come from Mexico, but then a percentage of my people also come from Spain, Germany, and France. So there you go. There is no pure breed of anything. I don't care what you think, what kind of, oh, I'm white and proud and all that. No, I'm sorry. Look up your ancestry. Get your DNA checked. I promise you, I did. I promise you, you are going to find out there is no pure blood anything anywhere. Okay, that goes for all cultures, not just white. I don't mean to pick on y'all, but I'm just saying, works for everybody too. You African Americans, same thing. Hispanics, same thing, my people. My raza, same thing. Okay, so there's the age shaming. Victim shaming, like rape. Like men who get raped either by the opposite sex or even by the same sex, mostly by the same sex. Gay men have been raped by straight men who just want to rape them. And some have been damaged for life and being able to have regular bowel movements and such. Stop shaming them, okay? Stop shaming them too. It needs to be more aware. It's a very real, 100% real and damaging thing to shame somebody who has been a victim that way, okay, of any kind of sexual abuse. Anything that was beyond their consent and their age ability to consent. So as of 9/10/2019, the Bureau of Justice Statistics says that in its 46th report, because they've been doing this since 1973, so this is their 46th report done in 2018, that 3.3 million in 2018, which was an increase from the year before, were victims of rape. So that's a total of 604,000 victims, okay? Male victimization has risen from 0.94% to 1.21%. So that's up 29%. That's males only. So, it's always been high, but the male is high. And let me tell you something about being a clinician and suicidal tendencies and things like that. Women are more likely to try to commit suicide. They'll make more attempts. Most of them might be cries for help. Sometimes they're successful. Sometimes they mean it. Oftentimes they're successful and they mean it. Men will try less and succeed more, because when they do it, they're going to put a gun to their head or in their mouth and they're going to shoot. Some may overdose or do that kind of thing, and that might be some cry out for help too, but men succeed more often than women. Look it up. Okay, so it has risen. So the violent incidents in 2018 were at 6 million. 1 in 33 men have been either attempted to be raped or have actually been raped in their lifetime. That's sad. That is so sad. And a lot of them are ashamed to come and speak forward because they're men, and men are supposed to be subordinate and strong and all that good stuff, okay? Not true. And 278 million men in the U.S. have been victims of rape or sexual assault of some kind. And I'm going to venture and go out on a little bit of a limb here and say that a lot of that had to do with same-sex abuse, and may have even contributed to your sexual orientation today, or your distrust in sex, or your bad choice in sexual partners. Yeah, that could very well be. It's something I'm researching for my dissertation. There's also, of course, what we talked about with the body shaming. Y'all are doing it within your own community as well. Stop, please. Not nice. You're fighting for enough equality rights already. Do not shame one another. Come together for the sake of everybody. Who's allies, who's in your community, who's not in your community, whatever. We're all in this together as humans, okay? Thank you. HIV shaming. Come on, really? I was of the era of the HIV revolution, when it started coming out in the early 80s, and they thought it was a gay disease. It had another name that was based mostly for gay males, late 70s, early 80s and all that. And then I was there during the epidemic that happened where men were dying, and then they found out it wasn't just, they called it the gay male disease. And then it got changed, from the HIV, and then it went to the AIDS, and then now it's HIV to AIDS because more research has been done since then, because that was over 30 years ago. But I was there through it all. I've seen people I loved suffer and die from AIDS and HIV-related complications. AIDS-related complications. And then we now know that, even we knew 20 years ago, that it doesn't just affect gay men, it affects women, bisexuals, affects everybody, and it's not just sex that you can get it from. Duh. You always look up to your HIV and AIDS resources in your neighborhood or your community or online to learn more about that, okay? But quit shaming each other for that. Same thing goes for STDs or STIs, sexually transmitted diseases or infections. Everybody gets them. Somebody could be lying to you, saying that they're clean when they're not, or maybe they believe they're clean and they didn't know they were dirty. But you got to remember, who you sleep with, that person, you're sleeping with everybody that person has slept with. So, that person may not know. So give them a break, let them get it clear. Don't make them suffer and say, oh, you're a hoe. You're screwing around looking, now you got all these diseases, or you've been getting these diseases. It's because that's not always the case. Okay, so please stop judging. The femme shaming in your community. A lot of the the queer femmes in the queer community get shamed for being too feminine, or flaming. Oh, that's a flaming fag, or something like that. I've heard that. I've even used the word flaming, but I used it with my friends who were flamers, and they accepted me saying that to them. I wasn't saying it to be mean or judgy. It was just, oh, you're so, it's just a way of saying you're so extravagant and what's the word? Whatever. But you know what I'm trying to say. You're eccentric. That's the word I was trying to say. You're eccentric. It's just another way for me to say that when I would say it. But, basically enough about this, what is it? mask for mask, masculine for masculine thing. Enough of that. You know, and there's also the slut shaming, and that kind of goes hand in hand, whatever. But it's a very double standard. It really is. I mean, because women are sluts if they sleep around and guys aren't, it's like, oh, hey, buddy, you got another notch on your belt. Well to go, way to go. And women are sluts. Well, you know what? Don't judge. Let people live as they want to live, as long as it's within the laws, that we're all governed under, as long as it's between consenting adults, which means they're in their right minds. They understand they're not under the influence. They're not being forced. They're not being coerced. They're not being bribed, manipulated, or anything. That's what I mean. As long as that's okay, then, just be safe. Just be safe about it. Be safe who you choose. Be safe how you perform, practice, use safety measures at all costs, okay? Just please be safe. That's the biggest message there. Also, there is race shaming going on within the LGBTQIA plus community, and even outside of the community. But right now I'm focusing on our community. And that community is that you only stay within a certain race. Now, everybody has a preference. I get that. I have a preference, I have certain types of looks or, but it's so vast and diverse. But there's certain attractions that I have to people that are not based on their race alone, whereas other people in not just the LGBTQIA plus society, but also in regular society, that will only date their own race. They won't go beyond that because of, what people have told them, or, the wrong thoughts about them, or historical lies, or whatever the case is, but you really need to be more open-minded and realize that you could be missing out on some real greatness by limiting who you date. So there you go. Let's see, what was the other one? I wanted to say it's also idiotic and asinine. So that's just me. Bottom shaming is another type of shaming. And why would anybody want to shame? I mean, the Kardashians, who everybody just loves and envies, have really brought about the whole bottom shaming, that if you have, some junk in your trunk, you're good. So please don't shame someone for being bigger on the bottom than they are on the top. And that's not just within your community. That's outside your community, because there's a lot of women and men who might be small up here but be big at the bottom. And I don't know why that should be a problem for you. It's not your body. Are you going to screw them? I mean, if you are, then, don't shame them about it. And if that's something that disgusts you, then, don't date somebody like that, But don't be judgy and preachy and, and bully. Don't do any of that, okay? Thanks. And then there's also addiction shaming. Now, I know this one well. I come from a family of addicts, okay? 34 years as a psychological clinician, I've dealt with an addict or two, I'm going to tell you, coming from a clinical standpoint, it is a very real disease. Addiction, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, whatever. There's all kinds of addictions. Food, it doesn't matter. They're very real, and there is some biochemistry involved, some biologics involved with those addictions. Science has proven it over and over. So for you to be able to be judgy about that, and the fact that it's hard for them to stay sober or straight or whatever, it's not always their fault. Sometimes it is, and they do got to take ownership, and a lot of them try. So don't make it difficult for them when they try. Be supportive. Be supportive. I was addicted to cigarettes, for years. And every day it's a struggle for me. I mean, God, how many times because that was my vice. That was my coping thing. Grab a cigarette. Okay, I'm good now. But I have lung issues, so all I was doing was contributing to my lung issues. But I'm not going to judge another smoker for doing it. Hell no, all my family smokes, so, and it's not always cigarettes that they're smoking. So, don't be judgy. Another thing is, oh, the last one, bi shaming. And I'm guilty of this myself from many years before. Before, I used to think that bisexuals were people who just wanted the best of both worlds, wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and that kind of thing. And, just be involved in freaky sex or whatever. And the truth is, that's not true. That's the truth. We don't know what they're feeling sexually or inside. How can you help that you're attracted to both women and men, sexually or romantically or physically or whatever? Maybe you act on it, maybe you don't. But no matter what, it's nobody else's business. It's only yours. And, we need to quit judging people so much on everything. I mean, everybody is so judgy. Look at yourself, put a mirror in front of you and state everything that's perfect about you, or video it and share it with everybody. And I promise you, there's going to be somebody that's going to point out your imperfections that you think you're so perfect about. Now, I hear a lot of people say, no, I know I'm not perfect, but yet they're judging people. That's imperfection at its finest, I mean, that's you acting like you're perfect. Because you think being perfect is being able to judge other people for being imperfect. No, that's not. Okay, so please don't do that. Some solutions. Well, for the obesity thing, I got some information from the Canadian Obesity Network, and they have confirmed what I've already known, and a lot of you two have also, is that health risks or keeping weight off is a long-term solution. It's a long-term thing. It's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet like I talked about. You got to change your way of thinking, your way of behaving, your way of living, the people you surround yourself with, the way you think of yourself. All of your cognition has to change in order for your behaviors to change. Everything needs to change. And in order to, speaking as a clinician, in order to replace one addiction or one behavior, you need to replace it with a more healthy addiction or healthy behavior. And I hate to use the word addiction, but more of a behavior, like exercising, for example, can become an addiction, but it's a good thing. It can be a good thing too. So like with everything else, in moderation, don't overdo yourself, but just do it enough to make yourself healthy and feel good about yourself, and share your wisdom, whatever you learn about that, share it with others. Don't judge them and put them down, because, whatever methods you used to lose weight doesn't work for everybody. Some people have to resort to surgery, bariatric surgery, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm going to tell you, even with bariatric surgery, you're still on a challenge in more ways than probably someone who doesn't undergo it. The biggest risk that people who don't undergo it have is ruining their metabolism with all these fad diets, gaining the weight back, possibly, and then the health conditions that come with being in excessive weight, and that kind of thing. And they're not feeling good, your self-esteem, then it can affect you mentally as well. So those are some of the things. Now, with people who get bariatric surgery, there's a lot more things that can be wrong with them. I mean, they could die, but the rates of dying as a result of bariatric surgery are so low. It's like 1%. In the first year of the surgery, and like 1% or 0.1%. I'll give you the exact number in a minute. It has been shown that people who are obese are at a higher risk of suicide, of dying from health issues, than people who get bariatric surgery to lose the weight. Okay, so don't condone someone for getting bariatric surgery because they weren't blessed with your strength or your genetics or your metabolism to be skinny and energetic and have a different outlook, or your mind strength, because they're not you, he's not her, she's not him. I've said it before, I'll say it until I can't say it anymore. Don't judge people because they got bariatric surgery. Okay, now there's all kinds of bariatric surgery, but you got to remember, just like anything else, bariatric surgery is a tool, and not everybody who gets bariatric surgery is successful. People have risked their lives and some have lost them because of bariatric surgery. You know, some of the things they have to deal with afterwards are anemia, hair loss, losing their hair, vitamin deficiencies. They get sick a lot. They throw up a lot because they have to learn new eating habits. Their taste buds change. They start having food intolerances that they didn't used to have before, you know, things like that. So they have to constantly have their labs checked. They got to constantly take probiotics, prebiotics, and all kinds of vitamins to keep their body healthy. They end up with sagging skin that oftentimes they can't afford to get the skin removed. And then if they do get the skin removed, or they can sometimes, they end up with large scars that make them more self-conscious. All they're trying to do is feel better, not be sick, not have sleep apnea and die in their sleep, or put pressure on their heart to the point where they get a heart attack. You know, I mean, learn your facts before you start judging people. You know, my friend was judged for having bariatric surgery. I never judged anybody for having bariatric surgery. And she was judged and being put down that she was taking the easy route. Oh, I'm sorry. It is not the easy route. It is a hard route. And so what if you did it the all natural way? Good for you. You have the strength and the genes and all that good stuff to be able to do it. Some of us need extra help. And it's a constant learning struggle that we're going to have for the rest of our lives, because we're going to have to learn how to eat certain foods that we didn't used to eat before. We can no longer eat foods that we used to eat before. We can no longer tolerate foods that we used to eat before. Everything about our lives changes. We have to exercise too. We have to stay active too. We got to drink water too. We got to do all that stuff too. You know, so no, it's not just you all that have done it the natural way and took 5 years to get there, and that people who do bariatric surgery are doing it, you know, just to be the easy way out, because there's nothing easy about it. You don't even know the procedures it takes to get the bariatric surgery. You got to see psychiatrists. You got to go through all this testing, nutritionists. You got to do all kinds of stuff, medical evaluations, heart studies. You got to go through everything. I mean, you can get approved through your insurance, but doesn't mean you're going to get approved for the surgery. So there's a lot of things that you have to go through just to be approved to get the surgery. And then you got to deal with all the after effects of the surgery. So you guilting and shaming and judging someone for getting bariatric surgery, shame on you. Because I can guarantee you, you probably have worse sins than getting bariatric surgery. Okay? So, and then that goes for all of you who like to shame our celebrities. You know, the people who get what I call, I like to call it technological courage. You know how some people say you get liquid courage from, you know, when you're drunk, you say things you wouldn't normally say. It reduces your inhibitions. Same thing can be said about people behind computer screens. They can say and do things and be someone totally different than they are in person. You could see them during the day and they'll be the nicest, sweetest person. And then when they get on that computer, they're vicious. And they'll rip someone apart and not care because they know there's no real consequences behind it. Would you say that same stuff to a person? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you would. But then you know what? There will be consequences for that. You might run into the wrong person who's going to kick your ass. Or you might get arrested again. Or for the first time. Or, you know, you might get shot. You never know. I mean, if you look at someone like me, would you think that I carried a gun? Would you think that I knew martial arts, or that I spent time in the Marine Corps and that I know hand-to-hand combat? By looking at me, would you know that? Or because of how nice and lovely I love to treat people, that I can be construed as a deadly weapon? No. And that all you bullies out there that like to bully people, and when the bullied person finally fights back and you realize that the strength that they have, that they've just trying to been nice to not fight back, it's surprising, isn't it? Well, everything I've said about myself is true. Yes, I have a 9mm. Yes, I served time in the Marine Corps. Yes, I know hand-to-hand combat. Yes, I know martial arts. Yes, I know how to fight. Yes, I came from the streets. Yes, I'm educated, very advanced educated, working on my PhD now. I have a master's and I have 3 degrees actually. And I'm also working on another master's at the same time. So, but I come from the streets. So you can't judge somebody's what I'm saying. You know, you never know what you're going to run into. And I would hate, just out of sheer ignorance of you not knowing any better, or for trying to prove something that you don't need to prove to anybody, that you get hurt or killed, because there is some good in you. I know there is. I've worked with the worst of the worst in my career. I've lived with the worst of the worst. I have family members who will never see the light of day for committing murder and being part of organized crime. I still love them. They still have great qualities, you know? Don't judge. Also, some other medical issues that people can get with bariatric surgery is pancreas issues, gallbladder issues, and if you end up with pancreatitis, there's no cure for that. I mean, a lot of people luck out, but you can die from that, and you have a higher chance of getting pancreatic cancer. So that's another health thing they have to deal with, you know. And then think about the psychosocial effects. You're being a bully. What happens to people when they're being bullied? If they can't take it anymore, they're going to eventually try to commit suicide or something. So please, stop. Stop with that already. There's nothing wrong with it. And, 50% of patients might actually regain some of the weight that they lost initially, because they're trying to go back to what they've learned their whole life on how to eat, and they can't, and then they get sick a lot, and there's a lot of vomiting, so you end up with anemia and all kinds of, it's not easy. You guys think they took the easy way out by getting bariatric surgery, and they haven't. It's a lifelong journey. It's just another tool that was used in the weight loss process. Some of you use pills. Some of you use steroids. Some of you use, shakes, protein shakes, things like that to gain weight, lose weight, whatever. There's different tools that people use. Some use a combination, but whatever the case is, then the same thing doesn't work for everybody. So quit judging and quit body shaming and quit shaming in general, people within your own community and outside of your community, okay? Data involving nearly 80,000 bariatric patients from the ASMBS Bariatric Centers of Excellence database shows that the risk of death within 30 days following bariatric surgery averages 0.13%. So, or approximately 1 out of 1,000 patients. So like I told you, I'd get you the numbers. There they are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to something about bariatric surgery that I pulled up, and I'm going to read it to you because it's important that you all know this stuff, okay? So if I look away, it's because I'm reading, but I'm going to try to keep looking at y'all too. But individuals affected by severe obesity are resistant to long-term weight loss by diet and exercise. The National Institutes of Health Experts panel, very reputable, recognize that long-term weight loss, or in other words, the ability to maintain weight loss, is nearly impossible for those affected by severe obesity by any means other than metabolic and bariatric surgery. Bariatric surgeries are effective in maintaining long-term weight loss, in part because these procedures offset certain conditions caused by dieting that are responsible for rapid and efficient weight regain following dieting. Plus, you mess with your metabolic system. If you're starving yourself, your metabolism is going to grab onto every bit of food you do put in, store it as fat, because they never know when they're going to get fed again. So there you go. When a person loses weight, energy expenditure, which is the amount of calories the body burns, is reduced. With diet, energy expenditure at rest and with activity is reduced to a greater extent that can be explained by changes in body size or composition, which is the amount of lean and fat tissue. At the same time, appetite regulation is altered following a diet, increasing hunger and the desire to eat. And we have a lot of social eaters or emotional eaters too, you know, and that's a very real psychological issue too, okay? Therefore, there are significant biological differences, thank you, between someone who has lost weight by diet and someone of the same size and body composition to that of an individual who has never lost weight. For example, the body of the individual who reduces their weight from 200 to 170 pounds burns fewer calories than the body of someone weighing 170 pounds and has never been on a diet. This means that in order to maintain weight loss, the person who has been on a diet will have to eat fewer calories than someone who naturally weighs the same. In contrast to diet, weight loss following bariatric surgery does not reduce energy expenditure or the amount of calories the body burns to levels greater than predicted by changes in body weight and composition. In fact, some studies even find that certain operations even may increase energy expenditure. In addition, help reduce energy intake, food or beverage. A decrease in energy intake with surgery results in part from anatomical changes to the stomach or gut that restrict food intake or causes malabsorption of nutrients. In addition, bariatric surgery increases the production of certain gut hormones that interact with the brain to reduce hunger, decrease appetite, and enhance satiety, which is the feelings of fullness. In these ways, bariatric and metabolic surgery, unlike dieting, produces long-term weight loss, thus increasing the effects of successful health and weight loss. Sorry, my arm's hurting. Serious weight loss. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put up on the screen some what do you call it, resources for you. Now, if you are in fear that you're suicidal or you know of someone who is suicidal, I want you to immediately refer them to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Their number is 1-800-273-TALK, TALK, which is 8255. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The service is available to anyone, so any community, any person, any age, anything. And all calls are confidential. They also have a website, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it looks like so you can write it down, okay? Here we go. Hold on. Okay, I should just grab it. Here we go. Can you see that? I'm going to leave it up for a second so that you all can get down anything you need to get, okay? So, are you able to get all that? Am I leaving it up long enough? Okay, rewind if you don't, because I don't want to keep this video any longer than it already is. I'm already going toward an hour. Okay, so that's for that, okay? So, there's that. And then, if you're within the LGBTQ community and you want specialized resources for that, I'm going to show you some links for that. There's the and the funny thing is I'm a member of a lot of this. The Trevor Lifeline, the Trans Lifeline, the Sage LGBT Lifeline. I'm a member of those groups. So, I mean, I don't work at these suicide lines or whatever, but I'm a member of the actual groups that support these lines. So, here's their information, okay? Now I'm going to turn the camera so that you can see it horizontally. And if I could put it up the right way, that would be good. Okay, so here we go. Oh, damn it. Hold on a second. I can't figure out. Oh, okay. I had it right. Okay, resources. It might show up. Oh, darn it. Here we go. Resources. Can you see that? I hope so. I took a great deal in typing this up. No, I'm not that tech savvy, okay? I couldn't even say the word tech, right? It said tack. But here are some resources. You got the Trevor Project one. You got for the older citizens one. Am I blocking something there? I hope you can read all this. If you can't, pause my video, write it down, or look it up on there, Google it, you know, but I just wanted to be able to provide you this. Okay, so I'm going to end now because I'm getting close to an hour and I don't want to exceed an hour because I don't want to bore the shit out of you. I hope you found this useful. To my friend who inspired me to do this, I love you, Sissy Poo. And to all of you who are out there struggling, stay strong. We're all in this together no matter what. I love you all. God bless you all. And I'll see you next video, okay? This is Tina signing out. Peace. Y'all have a good one. God bless.